Hi there. In this lesson, we will practice discussing theme by exploring one of the themes in Romeo and Juliet. Let us start by examining the same 8 lines from the prologue that we looked at in the last lesson.
Two households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona, where we lay our scene. From ancient grudge break to new mutiny, where civil blood makes civil hands unclean. From forth the fatal loins of these two foes, a pair of star-crossed lovers take their life, whose misadventured, piteous overthrows doth with their death bury their parents' strife. The fearful passage of their death-marked love and the continuance of their parents' rage, which but their children's end naught could remove, is now the 2 hours' traffic of our stage, the which, if you with patient ears attend, what here shall miss, our toil shall strive to mend.
In the last lesson, we focused on words to do with love and hate. But there are other words that are also important in these 8 lines that lead us towards a different theme. That is, fatal and star-crossed. Listen to the rest of the prologue. Can you find one other word that is related to these ideas of fate and the stars? Which is it?
The fearful passage of their death-marked love and the continuance of their parents' rage, which but their children's end naught could remove, is now the 2 hours' passage of our stage, the which, if you with patient ears attend, what here shall miss, our toil shall strive to mend.
Did you find it? It is the word death-marked. So, there are 3 words related to fate or fortune. They are fatal, star-crossed, death-marked. But what exactly do we mean by fate? Fate is a power that is believed by some people to control everything that happens. Fate is that which is fixed and unalterable, that which is certain. For example, life is followed by death. The seasons of the year have a fixed sequence: spring, summer, autumn, winter. The sun rises and sets each day. Fate may be seen as a pattern or order fixed by God in nature and in human life. What is the difference between fate and fortune? Fortune is not a fixed pattern. Events, experiences, and adventures may often have unpredictable results and consequences. Fortune refers to all those things in life that are unpredictable. By unpredictable, we mean that we do not know what is going to happen, like losing your wallet on your way home from school, or winning the lotto. So, your fate or your fortune is what happens to you, and you have no control over it. The question of whether Romeo and Juliet are destined by fate or fortune to fall in love and die is balanced against the belief that people can fight against misfortune by thinking and using the power of their minds. Human beings may exercise choice or free will. The question is, are events controlled by fate, or do we, as thinking human beings, control what happens in our lives? There is no easy solution given in this play. What did Shakespeare and the people living during that time believe about reason? Shakespeare and his contemporaries believed that God gave man the power of reason. It lifted people above the animals, which were not given reason, and placed people just below the angels. Human beings can control their emotions with reason, examining the problems facing them and then deciding what action is best. Also, by having reason, people can try to be good. They can know what goodness is and can try to achieve it. Therefore, every individual is responsible for his or her own conduct, that is, his or her behavior and actions. When we look at the play, we find a lot of unfortunate or ill-fated events. How many can you think of? How many of these did you mention? 2 children of feuding families fall in love. As a result, they have to marry secretly. Romeo, on the way back from his wedding, bumps into Tybalt. Tybalt picks a fight with him. Mercutio responds to Tybalt's insults and is killed. Romeo, feeling that he is to blame for Mercutio's death, kills Tybalt. The prince sentences Romeo to be banished. Capulet decides to marry Juliet to Paris. Juliet accepts Friar Lawrence's plan and she drinks his powerful sleeping drug. Friar Lawrence's letter to Romeo doesn't reach him. Romeo believes Juliet is dead. Romeo returns to Verona and kills himself in the tomb. Juliet wakes up and finding Romeo dead, kills herself. There are so many unfortunate events, but which ones do the characters really have no control over? Romeo and Juliet are born into families that are feuding. Romeo and Juliet fall in love. Romeo bumps into Tybalt and Mercutio. Friar Lawrence's letter never reaches Romeo. Those are the only events over which the characters have no control. But the characters could have met these unlucky events with reason, and therefore they need not have had such a bloody and fatal end. Let's think about how the characters could have responded to events. Let's take the terrible scene in Act 3, when Mercutio and Tybalt both die. Mercutio could have listened to the good sense and reason of Benvolio. Mercutio could have avoided the fight with Tybalt. Romeo did not have to give way to passionate rage and grief. Romeo did not have to avenge Mercutio's death. Romeo could have chosen not to kill Tybalt. Shakespeare makes it clear that Romeo is capable of the unreasonable fury of a beast. Romeo is a person of extremes, of violent and over-hasty actions. Let's look at another time where he reacts in the same way, and again, the result is disaster. Romeo could have acted more moderately on hearing the false news of Juliet's death. If only Romeo had not acted with such passionate haste. But Romeo's character is such that he does not stop to think, to calm down, to act reasonably. For example, he could have gone to see the friar, or could have written to him and waited for the response. Can we then argue that Romeo's character is fixed, and so he cannot possibly act in any other way? No. Let's think about Romeo's character. Does Romeo always act without thinking? No. After Romeo has secretly married Juliet, he goes into the streets of Verona, where another quarrel is brewing between the Capulets and Montagues. When Tybalt tries to pick a quarrel with him, Romeo uses his reason and calmly rejects Tybalt's insults. "I do protest, I never injured thee." Romeo is exercising control over himself and over the events which confront him. Tybalt's anger is powerless against Romeo's reason and good manners. So, Romeo is capable of self-control and moderation when he exercises these qualities. Now that we have considered all the examples of fate and unlucky events, how shall we formulate our theme? In life, there are some events over which we have no control. We might see these events as being the result of fate or of chance, good luck or bad luck. However, we do have control over the way in which we respond to these events. We can respond with reason or with passion and lack of reason. We can take things slowly, or we can act in haste, in a hurry. Impetuous action, which is action without thinking first, often results in disaster. We, as the audience, are left with the problem of deciding to what extent fate contributes to tragedy, and to what extent tragedy is the result of human folly, foolishness, stupidity, and error, which are mistakes. Very simply, we might put one aspect of the theme like this: acting without thinking may lead to disaster and tragedy. We can put the other aspect of the theme like this: we cannot control circumstances, but we can control our reactions to them. People have choice and can choose how they react to these circumstances. Now it's time for today's task. Follow the techniques we have learnt in this lesson to determine what the key themes are in the Shakespearean play you are studying. Remember, to find the themes, you should consider the story of the play, the characters in the play, and the language of the play. Remember that you should express the themes in sentences. As you look for the themes, look out for words that are repeated by Shakespeare. He will be making his themes absolutely clear. Remember, themes are not hidden. Shakespeare knows that if he hides his themes and we have to dig for them, we might never find them. The main ideas he wants to set us thinking about will be completely clear. Shakespeare will repeat the main ideas so that we don't miss them. From me, goodbye.